Hi guys, this is Angela, and I'm finally back with another video. I wanted to do a chill draw with me type beat because life has been so hectic and I haven't drawn in a long time. And I think it's time to just relax and draw something. During this video, I'll talk about my process, my brushes, and give some general illustration advice. This video is sponsored by Clip Studio Paint. I don't usually take on sponsorships, but I actually have been using Clip Studio Paint for over a year now because I just think it's better than Photoshop in so many ways. So I'm using a wide curved monitor so I can watch Netflix and look at inspirations on the side while I draw, and a Huon H611 tablet, but any tablet or setup is good. TBH, for 2020 and 2021, when COVID first hit and I was still in college, I just used an iPad and Procreate and drew while sitting on my bed because I didn't really have a desk. Ignore my really sad plant in the background. I'm low-key depressed. When I first get started sketching, I like to draw vague outlines to find my curves and shapes. Get a loose outline going, a vague feeling for what the final outcome's gonna be. When I was younger, I'd just draw one or two sketches and then go with one of them, and I still sometimes do that if I don't have much time, but I find that drawing less sketches in the beginning results in stiffer final works. I like using the pen tool for this stage because it gives really nice thin crisp lines, but the pencil tool could work as well. Unlike Photoshop, the pen tool actually is like a pen. If you know, you know. All of my Clip Studio Paint pens and brushes and tools are from the Asset Store. There are so many incredible resources on the CSP Asset Store, which is another reason why I like CSP over Photoshop. So I encourage everyone to take a gander themselves and see what tools they feel like suits them best. Once I settle on a sketch that I vibe best with, I like to draw over it several times to make a more refined outline with a really pleasing shape. Here's the fun part, coloring. Again, to have a less stiff final work, I try to experiment with many ideas. Just go wild at this part. Let your chaotic neutral out. I usually do coloring in 4 different ways: blend modes, gradients, gradient mapping, and layer color. So the first of these 4 things that I do is gradient mapping. For those of you who don't know, gradient mapping is taking an image and only considering its black and white values, and then converting it to color by referencing a gradient. So here I'm laying down some black and white values because nothing else is going to be considered, and then applying a gradient map layer over it and experimenting to see which gradient would look best. Here I'm using another one of the 4 methods, layer color, to turn the black sketch into a red one. This is a Clip Studio Paint only feature, and basically it's one of the little buttons in layer properties. You can click on it and you can turn all blacks into one color and all whites into another color, and everything that's in between is basically a blend between the chosen white color and the chosen black color. I don't know if that made any sense. Anyways, it's really nice and easy. I'm using 3 of the 4 methods that I was talking about earlier: gradients, blend mode, and layer color to create this nice yellow lighting. Gradients in Clip Studio Paint are really easy. You just select the gradient tool and then you drag. And then if you ever want to edit the gradient, you just go to the object tool, and then you can kind of edit it around, see what angle it looks best in, etc. Blend modes are, how do I explain this? Basically a setting on a layer that tells the layer how to blend with the image underneath it. And mathematically speaking, a lot of the most common blend modes like multiply and add are pretty easy to explain. For example, multiply basically tells the layer to multiply its value with the value of the image underneath it. And if you want to know more, there's lots of information online, so just Google math behind blend modes or something. You might have noticed that I didn't do line art. I usually don't do line art for illustrations because I like a messy, sketchy style, but it depends on the style I'm going for. It's really up to you. So yeah, conclusion of the coloring stage is basically don't be afraid to experiment. Polish. This stage took me a long time, and it used to not, but I think it's because I haven't drawn for so long. I like to mentally split up polish work into 2 stages, details and final details. Not the best naming. Let me know if you have better ideas. So the first stage, details, definitely takes the longest. It's basically the stage where all the edges are crisp and all the brush strokes are where they need to be. I kept getting tripped up on this stage because I was worried if the colors were too bright or if the face was anatomically correct. English is my first language. advice for this stage is to experiment with textures and blending. As you can tell, after all the edges and colors and lines are in place, I like to blend further and add texture where I think it'll pop. Like on the hair. For this kind of straight hair, a good line texture works wonders. And on the clouds, a fluffy texture. And elsewhere, I'm just blending it out. I'm just gonna be silent until we get to the next stage. Because I was not lying when I said this stage takes a long time. to the fun stuff. Final details. This involves quick and easy stuff that really adds oomph, like blurring and sharpening and particles. For this, I'm using the brushes that I'll show in the little corners here, taken from the CSP Asset Store. I encourage looking around on the store to see what other particle brushes catch your attention. I love to just download random brushes from the Asset Store and experiment with sprinkling them on. That's how I got my whole collection. Particles are great for adding a bit of depth and a bit of motion. Here I'm doing more brush work, going back to add even more detail and final detail, because I went to bed, I woke up, and I took another look at it, and it wasn't good enough. Haha. So yeah, there you have it. As you can see, you can basically do anything out of order. I mean, that's kind of what I did because I lack organization, and it turned out fine. Thanks for watching, and subscribe or something just in case I post another video in another year. I'll see you next year.